Okay, Chit Chat Kit Kats. I know I get a lot of flack sometimes. People say, well, just ignore these haters. And why are you responding to them? Yada, yada, yada. Why do I do it? Well, I'm happy like I did this last one. Here's his picture. Here's what he said. Here's my response. And I'm happy to put it out there. If he's so happy with what he's doing and his hate, then let the world see it. Okay? I don't run away from these haters. Rather than running away from them, I expose them for what they are. So maybe, let's hope he gets a wake-up call. Because if you're going to be out there and be a nasty person, okay, then you deserve to be outed. It's my right, okay? It's my right to be able to confront these types of haters. So, if you want to come to my channel and you want to be nasty, then don't cry. Don't become a snowflake when you get a response. Okay? Because I guarantee you, I'm not a wannabe. Okay? I stand up for what I believe, and I have no problem outing toxic people. So there's where that stands. So that's why I do it. Let them be proud of their handiwork. Let it be put out there for everyone to see. Okay? So anyway, that's where that's at. Now, I've had somebody ask about doing a tutorial on wigs. So maybe I will get to that today. I'm not a, expert, but I can tell you what I know about wigs, etc., and can maybe help put some information out there. Now, I'm not a wig manufacturer. I haven't created wigs, so I'm not the best authority on it. But like we said, yesterday I had a woman that was a hairdresser that was going to enlighten me. And I had to laugh because she was talking about wig heads and they all have human hair. Well, I know that. I went to beauty school. I know the wigs that the heads you work on, mannequin heads, all have human hair because you have to learn how to set it, perm it, all these other things. And yes, the wig heads always come with brown hair. Okay? At least the ones when I was in beauty school, that's the way they came. So anyway, she's trying to tell me that, well, they all come from, Asian countries or something, so you're going to get dark hair, dark or brown. You're not going to get blonde. Well, there's such a thing known as bleach. It's been around forever. Okay? And if you're doing a wig, creating a wig out of human hair, you only have to bleach it once. Unlike human hair, when you've got it on your head, where you have to bleach it every month. But yes, they can make human hair wigs, and they can bleach it, okay? Because they're only bleaching it once and then really condition it, and there would be no problem with that, okay? So that's a reality. So, yeah, thank you for enlightening me. I love that, people that are, well, I'm a hairdresser. Well, I went to beauty school too, okay? So what do I say about that? Sometimes they're just, I get them coming out of the woodwork. Anyway, this channel's about trying to put out some information and just being lighthearted and enjoying things. So, sometimes you get people that come here and they get their nose out of joint about something. And, you can be doing readings and they can be listening to you for years, and then all of a sudden you do a reading or say something that they just, get their hackles up and go off in a huff and, well, nobody's chaining anyone to be here. I didn't drag anyone here, and I'm not chaining anyone to stay. This is my home, and people that come here are my guests. And everyone's welcome as long as they stay not being nasty. Okay? So that's where that's at. So if people think they're going to come here and get nasty, I can show them the door. And don't let it hit you on the rear end on the exit, okay? And you can have a nice life or not. It's up to you, But anyway, that's where that's at. I don't put up with a whole lot of nonsense. People think they have free speech. Okay, you have free speech. You can go over to your channel and say whatever you want. But you don't have the right, just like you can't walk into anybody's home and take a dump in the middle of the floor. What's going to happen if you try to do that? I guarantee they're going to usher you out the door. Well, this is my home. My channel is my home. And everybody that's here are my guests. Okay? And I'm welcome to have people come, and I'm so happy when they are here, and try to share whatever I can share. So that's where that's at. We share what we can share and try to give the best that we can give. Okay? So this is not about making a lot of money. I don't have, what do they call it? I don't have people pay money to join my channel. I don't do that. Everything I give to everyone equally. Okay? That's it. And if people want to give a small donation, I really appreciate it. But I'm not going to do this thing about my channels about making money, and I'm making this a business. And so, if you want to have these readings or more of this kind of information, then you're going to pay every month. I don't do that, okay? Because I made my pact with Spirit that whatever I got, I would give back to people. Okay? And it's up to them, if they appreciate it, to give a little back. Not everyone has funds to do that. And so that's why I never withhold it from anyone. Because some people have money and some don't. It's not fair to withhold things from people just because they don't have the finances. So that's creating a hierarchy. Oh, if you have the money and you can pay X amount per month, then you'll get, you'll get all these extra goodies. Well, I don't play that. I think it's unfair. So I'm not going to do it. Okay? So that's where I stand. Again, you have to, if you believe in Jesus Christ, you believe in his teachings, etc. And I teach from Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, but you can't beat Yeshua ben Joseph or the Christ, for giving just, down to earth, the teachings, okay? He never withheld things from people and said, well, if you have X amount of dollars, you can get, a little bit more, He didn't do that. He gave to all equally, okay? Opened it to everyone, and that's the way it should be. You give what you have to give, okay? So that's what I try to do. We try to keep things a bit humorous. Now, make no mistake, I'm not going to pat on the head people that are doing evil. I'm just not going to do it, okay? Christ didn't do it, and I'm not going to do it. And some people say I'm too harsh. Well, even Yeshua, even Jesus went over and turned over the money changers' tables. Okay? It said, this is a house of prayer, and you made it a den of thieves. He wasn't sweet. He didn't pat him on the head. Ramana slapped a kid because he was a thief. Okay? So I have people that come here and say, well, if you were genuinely an enlightened being, you would be what? Sitting there staring at my navel, drooling on myself. What? You'd only speak honeyed words to everyone. You'd just be so sweet all the time. Okay? Well, people that believe that are not being rational, not looking at genuine beings of higher elevation, such as Christ, or Kabir, or Ramana, okay? They're not looking at reality. They have this fake ideology about it, about vegetarianism, wearing white, not wearing makeup, doing this, doing that, these preconceived notions and boxes that they want to put people in, define them. When Christ was alive, what did they say? Why are you eating with sinners? Why are you eating? Why do you have these people around you? Why are you, there's a lot of judgment there. Because he was giving to the people that needed to hear the message. If you're already doing good, then you're already doing good. You don't need the messages, okay? People need the messages are the ones that are hurting, that haven't found the way yet, that are still, trying to find a way forward, okay? And part of it is, as being a spiritual teacher, is breaking through stereotypes. Enlightenment is of the mind, the consciousness. It's not about what you're wearing. Okay? I could sit here and wear this full makeup, drag makeup, or wear plain white, no makeup. Does one change the consciousness? It's the same consciousness. I'm the same person, whether I go like this and break through stereotypes, or whether I dress in Buddhist monk's wear, or wear a collar, okay, which I could do. I am legally a reverend, so I could wear the collar, do that if I so chose. But one is not higher than another, just like God is not more one place than another. People think you have to go to a church building and that's more sacred. It's not more sacred. Wherever you go, God is there if you just open and look for it, rather than closing it out and saying it has to be in a building, it has to look like this, it has to look like that. What's more lovely than God's creation? Okay? I can think being out in the woods or by the ocean or the majestic mountains is just as beautiful and sacred as going to a church building where man has created something. Okay? So anyway, that's just a little bit of the outlook here. Like I said, everything dismantled for me in 1999, and there was a radical shift that took place of consciousness. When I started my spiritual journey in this lifetime, I went through a lot of depression, PTSD, was really having a difficult time. Really had a difficult time in life. I had gone through a lot of difficulty, let's just put it that way. Okay? Abuses. Came out a very abusive type of a existence. And was in the typical whiny saga. The pity party was beating that drum for all it was worth until I found out, well, that's not helping anything, is it? Beating that drum of the grand pity party. Okay? And so I really delved deep into my spiritual journey. And like I said, everything changed radically in 1999, where the ego ideology deconstructed. It's like the tower, implosion. The world ended, I ended, everything ended, and it's like the Bible says, being born, first you have the physical birth out of water, and then you have the spiritual birth. Okay? That's what happened. That radical transformation into the spirit. Okay? So it's more than just going in and being baptized. It has to be a radical transformation. The baptism is just showing you go in, you have the water birth, and then you die. You go into under the water, you die to that, and you come up to spirit. That's what it is showing. But just because one goes in and has the goes into baptism doesn't mean that you're automatically born into spirit, because to be born into spirit, first you have to die. That's why it says in the Bible too, no one sees the face of the Father and lives. No, if you actually see the face of the Father, which is not a physical face, one dies to the ego and is reborn into spirit. Okay? So there are so many truths in the Bible, but again, there's so much fallacy also that's there. Like you have Peter. Peter shouldn't even be in there. So many people hold to Peter more than they hold to Christ. Peter was like the religious right. Now, Peter never saw Jesus. He had this so-called transformation. He was a tax collector before, okay? And he had this so-called transformation. But he brought in all these mixed ideas. Christ never said women should be silent in church. That's Peter. So Peter was like this radical right, bringing in these ideologies of the day. He was a spin doctor, okay, and should not even be in the Bible, because he causes so much confusion to people. I would say leave Peter out of it. Don't read the stuff of Peter. Read the stuff of Christ and read the stuff of the apostles. Now understand, too, that nothing was written about the life of Christ until 40 years after his passing. Okay? It wasn't that the the apostles were there documenting things daily. Okay, none of the writings appeared until after 40 years after his death and resurrection. Okay. And so, but that being said, you'll see that the apostles all basically agree on the messages of Christ, what was being taught. And so that's so important. But if you take what they said, what Christ said, and you read what Peter said, you'll see there's a divergence there. Okay? So Peter's somebody that afterwards has heard about it and come up with his own spin that he put out there. But it wasn't based on first-hand knowledge. It wasn't based on first-hand hearing, walking with Christ and talking with him and getting all the full teachings. So he has a little bit of truth in there, but then it's spun with a lot of the ideologies of the day, the social happenings, okay? Such as women should be silent, women should this, and all of the rest of his nonsense that he had in there. These were his judgmentalisms, but they didn't come out of a fully enlightened consciousness. It came out of somebody that had a little bit of truth, but then surrounded it with a bunch of other drama of social interaction and things during that day. And that's why people get so confused. Because what? A lot of people hang more on Paul than they do the words of Christ. And when you see that Paul and Christ, there's a divergence there, you should go with Christ rather than Paul, who was known as Saul of Tarsus. Okay? I think Christ is a much better indicator of spirituality. Saul or Peter, not Peter, Paul. Peter was good. Peter, on this rock I will build my church. Peter was a good foundation. In other words, he was solid. He was solid. He had the right information. Whereas Paul did not. Okay? Paul has added stuff. And it says you cannot add or take away from what Christ was saying. Well, Paul added and took away from what Christ was saying. Therefore, he should not even be in there. But when they put the Bible together, they added him. Because what? It furthered their agenda. And of course, those of radical right would use this. Okay? The radical right of that time period. It wanted to use religiosity to control men. And Paul, you could say, was in that mindset of religiosity, whereas Yeshua ben Joseph, Jesus the Christ, the Christos, was of the mind of spirituality. So Christ is up here, and Saul of Tarsus or Paul is down here. So, my suggestion, and again, every time I see these preachers, the evangelicals, etc., where do they go? They always go to the Old Testament. They always go to the browbeating. They're not ignoring the things that Christ was teaching. Absolutely ignoring it. Because they always come up with just the Old Testament, and if they take something out of the New Testament, they take it out of context and spin it into something that it's not saying. You've got to read the whole of the thing to understand what is being said. So on that note, I'm going to leave this here, and I'll see you online. Thanks for tuning in.